Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us to welcome in the new year. Thank you also very much as always for the prayers and support you've given for the Konko Church of Chicago during the year past. May each and every one of you enjoy a happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year 2016. There is an old Japanese proverb which says, fortune comes to a merry home with laughter. So I would like to start my first sermon for 2016 to induce your laughter. There is a wonderful example of a laugh-producing story I heard twice in my life, and it cracked me up both times. It tells of the time when Mr. Yoshio Mori, Prime Minister of Japan, visited the USA to meet with the then President Mr. Bill Clinton. Mr. Mori didn't have a very thorough command of the English language, but for some reason, he wanted to extend greetings in English to show his respect to Mr. Clinton. So for his important meeting with Mr. Clinton, he asked his interpreter what English sentences he could memorize that would be appropriate. And he was told the following two sentences. How are you? And me too. He was told they would be easy to remember and be the perfect start for their conversation. But when Mr. Mori saw Mr. Clinton in person, Mr. Mori forgot what to say. So he said to Mr. Clinton, who are you? Instead of how are you? Mr. Clinton was surprised to hear that because Mr. Mori came to the USA to see him, US President Clinton. He was a man, Clinton is a man of witness. He answered Mr. Mori, I am Hillary's husband. To which Mr. Mori replied, me too. For the past weeks, I've been thinking of how I could describe my year of 2015 by one Japanese character. Then I hit upon an idea. It was kugomi, deep basin or depression, kugomi, Japanese character. Thinking it over and over very carefully, I finally decided this was the best description for my 2015. This Japanese character reminds me of the revelation our founder received from Kami in 1875. He received the following revelation with such an illustration. Following. This one. Yeah. Like the water gather into deep basin, all the world problems and divine blessings gather into this vast pool. In those days, people's view about the world is only China and India. So China and India means the whole world. So from China, from whole world gather into basin. This is Japan. So all the world problems and divine blessing gather into the basin, depression, worship hall. So it means for us, this is the worship hall. Konko Daiki was facing many problems at that time, not only those caused by his family members and believers, but also by the government. After receiving this revelation, our founder deeply realized he had no power, no ability, and no talent before Kami. It seemed like a state of depression. So, leaving everything up to Kami, he focused on developing peace and joy in his heart by facing these problems as deeply as possible. It fascinated people, which in turn attract more worshippers gathering in the worship hall to seek mediation from him. That's the way his programs were turned into divine blessings. The soul of this faith is not aimed at spreading it, but we do believe it will not spread naturally if it is genuine. Therefore, a Konko minister just sits at the mediation seat and focuses on developing his or her peaceful and joyful heart as deeply as possible for this faith naturally to be spread. Young people are thought to be treasure of the future all around the world. It is natural to expect useful days to be the ideal time to most constructively pursue the truths of life, which in turn welcome them into the world as grown-ups. Once given a fresher view of the world, young people tend to do their best to try and accomplish the potential of their allotted time in their lives naturally. Today, however, because they are so accepting and the world seems so much more chaotic than we adults face when we are their age, they may become bogged down in a struggle to find the true meaning of life. So every day now I sincerely pray that I may be of great service for many young people in today's world. May they come to know the essence of the Konko faith, which will surely lead to the true world peace and live fulfilled lives with Kami. I hope the Konko Church of Chicago become a Wagakoro Mecca for many young people in the world to gather together to learn the real fulfillment with Kami and serve the true world peace. I would like to share my poem with you to describe this feeling of mine. To you young people, your true way to happiness is found in this faith. Come and light faithfully. Become a light of the world. 若者よ、真実の道ここにあり、来り学びて世の光となれ。For that, what I have to do is to develop peace and joy in my heart as deeply as possible to echo and switch on the reflection of Kami's divine heart. I joined the House of Delegates and the Ministry Board of Review meetings on December 12 and 13 last year. I flew for San Francisco on December 11 with my son Mitsunori. Our congregational representative, Mr. Kimoga, was too busy with his job. Mitsunori was his alternate and joined the House of Delegates meeting for the first time. Whenever I attend these meetings, I fly for San Francisco one day before the meetings begin and have a chance to share our faith with some ministers. This time, Reverend Masato Kahatsu, head minister of the Konko Propagation Hall of South San Francisco, gave a copy of his newsletter. In it was an article written by Reverend Moto Tanaka, head minister of Konko Church of Osaki, Japan, titled Okagiwa wa Koniari, Divine Blessing are within your appreciative heart or your peaceful and joyful heart, DNA version. Maybe I sent an attachment to all of you, but I really moved to this story. He wrote about a recently published book called The Miracle of Gene Switch, subtitled A Housewife Who Was Given Only 1 Month to Live by Mrs. Fusami Kudo. In the book, Mrs. Kudo writes, "It was 9 years ago that I was diagnosed with cancer. It was a terminal uterine cancer with no possibility of surgery. The first thing I did was write the letter to my children. I wrote, I want you to have a good life. I'm sorry for getting sick and I love you. I wrote each of them a heartfelt letter. The doctors decided they would give me 30 radiation treatments. The treatments would then be followed by the 3 rounds of painful radiation treatment called LARS. You know? The treatment was so painful that my whole body was frozen from pain and terror. It didn't seem like a treatment. I felt it felt more like torture. Why did I get cancer? I blamed myself and cried all night long. I felt despair and that my life was at its end. A few days later, the day before my second Ralph's treatment, a friend came to visit me and brought me a book called Life Code. The author, Professor Kazuo Murakami, says that research in life science is extremely advanced. However, the more we study on a cellular level, the more we find that there's more that we don't know. Nothing is abundance, and only what the author calls something great is what makes life possible. There are 23 chromosomes that come from the father, and 23 chromosomes that come from the mother. From that, there are 70 trillion combinations for a child to be born from one set of parents. The probability of a life being created is equivalent to winning a million-yen lottery 100,000 times in a row. For a human to be born in and of itself is a great achievement, and to be alive is a miracle within a miracle. Then I was blown away by the author's next statement. Of all the DNAs we have in our body, only about 5% are actually used. The rest are just turned off. When I read this, I thought to myself that even I could turn on 1% of my DNA out of the 95% that are turned off, I could be that much healthier. When this thought came to mind, I yelled out, "Banzai!" at the top of my voice from my hospital bed at 2 in the morning. It was then I felt a ray of hope in my darkest hour. I felt like my body was telling me, "I've been sustaining you all this time." I felt so grateful and happy, I told myself to thank my body. I decided to say thank you to all the trillions of DNAs inside my cells, one by one. To my hands, feet that move for me, to my hair, to my heart, I gave continuous thanks to each and every part of my body. The time came for my second last treatment. The pain that had been unbearable the first time around didn't even seem to exist. I was astounded by the result of my thankfulness. I believe that thankfulness has special powers that awaken the sleeping DNAs. My third last treatment was also remarkably painless. A month and a half went by, and I had my checkup with my doctor. The doctor looked at the X-rays and laughed out loud. "All the cancer is gone." We were both engulfed in happiness when some other data came in. The cancer had left the uterus, but was now in my lungs and liver. What was going on? My lungs were filled with the cancer that looked like polka dots, and there was a fist-sized tumor on the inside of my liver, and the outside was scattered with cancer that looked like seeds. At the suggestion of my doctor, I started chemotherapy. If I didn't do anything, the doctor said I would have less than a month to live. I braced myself to face the reality that my last days of my life would be fighting the side effects of the chemotherapy. Just as I predicted, the therapy was painful and hard. But through the terror of pain, I was thankful. I thought to myself that despite this painful condition, my DNA in my body is working hard to make me better. Even the cancer cells have supported me by making me realize something. I apologize sincerely to the cancer cells and express my appreciation. And for every single strand of hair that fell out, I express my thankfulness every 100,000 strands. Thank you for having me been in my hair up until now. I was filled with a feeling of fulfillment in my heart that I had never experienced before. Then my second son surprised me by saying, "We should enjoy the special circumstances." At first I didn't understand, but I soon came to realize that within any struggle, there is a seed of happiness. I decided to enjoy the journey. This is what turned on the sleeping DNA switches. 6 months of being grateful went by, and my body felt lighter. I went for my scheduled checkup, and again, all the cancer had disappeared. Mrs. Kudo said that for the sleeping DNA to kick in, we have to live a life that the DNA will appreciate. In order to do that, we have to be thankful for everything and enjoy the struggles. This is the switch-on way of life. It's the same as when our founder said, "Okage wa kokoro ni ari." Divine blessings are within your appreciative heart or your peaceful and joyful heart. The purpose of our life that anyone can have, I believe, is to shine ourselves by expressing thank you always, or to deepen peace and joy in our heart toward unbreakable one. With this spirit in my mind, I wrote the following poems as the resolution for every moment of the coming new year 2016. Welcoming the new year, I want to make every moment full of gratitude and be a living being with a deeply polished heart. 改まの年に誓わんありがたし、心磨いていかにとなら。May this life of mine be used with a single heart for manifesting an era of peace and joy for all people in the world. この命使わせたまえ一筋に我が子時代権限のため。Beginning this first day of the brand new year 2016, let's deepen our understanding of the true nature of thankfulness or peaceful and joyful heart, and together let's help each other to develop our faith more and more perfectly in the coming 365 days. May this Konko Church of Chicago be filled with the peaceful and joyful heart to welcome all who enter here. May this spot on our miraculous earth become a place where divinity and humanity will meet together in prayer, rejoice together in gratitude, and delight together in mutual satisfaction.